Alrighty, so I'm going to work out some of the examples from the 1.3 notes, that way you guys have them. So we talked about complementary, supplementary, adjacent angle bisectors. So in this figure, name a pair of complementary angles. Remember, those add to 90. A pair of supplementary angles, and those add to 180. And a pair of adjacent angles, those are just angles that are right next to each other. So supplementary angles, two angles that add to 180 are going to be 52 and 128. So when I name those, angle B and angle BDE. I have to be more specific on that second one since the vertex of D is shared between two different angles. Okay, so those are our supplementary angles. Complementary are going to be 52 and 38, so angle B and angle CDB. That's going to be that one. And then angles that are adjacent to each other are going to be 38 and 128. So angle CDB and angle EDB. And I got to be specific there because you can see that D, that vertex, is shared between both of them. All right, so now we're going to do a little bit of algebra now. So this is going to be translating a statement into an equation so that we can solve. So the measure of one of two complementary angles is 3 greater than twice the measure of the other. So find the measure of each angle. So remember, if you have an angle x, the complementary to that is going to be 90 minus x. So the measure of one of two complementary angles, I'm going to call that x, that's equal to 3 greater than twice the measure of the other. So I take twice the measure of the other, and then 3 greater than that, I have to add 3. Okay, so that's taking all those words and writing it into an equation. These are going to take work. Okay, you got to be able to translate those. So I get x equals, and then I distribute here, 180 minus 2x plus 3. If I combine like terms, I'm going to get 3x equals 183. So x equals, hang on, I got to grab my calculator, 183 divided by 3. X is going to give you 61 degrees. So that's one of the angles. The other angle is going to be 90 minus 61, which is going to give you 29 degrees. So you got 61 degrees and 29 degrees. Those are going to be your two complementary angles. All right, so for my next one, I'm going to work through this one maybe a little bit faster just for time. So the measurement of a supplement of an angle, so the supplement of an angle is going to be 180 minus x, is 60 less than 3 times the measure of the complement of that angle. So the complement of the angle is going to be 90 minus x. And then everything here I'm just going to fill in when I write my equation. So the measure of the supplement of the angle, 180 minus x, is, so equals, 60 less than 3 times the measure of the complement, and then I got to take 60 less of that. Okay, so the supplement of an angle is 3 times the measure of the complement of the angle minus 60. Then when I do the algebra now, distributive property, okay, and then after I simplify some of this stuff, oops, not that. 210 minus 3x, 30 equals 2x, x is going to equal 15. So if x equals 15 and I want to find the measure of the supplement, I take 180 minus 15, I get 165 degrees. All right, those will take work, but you can do it. We already did vocab on linear pair and vertical angles, so let's work through some problems. All right, find the measurements of these angles. ABD, always want to label your diagram, so do that. DBC is 2y plus 40, and EBC is x plus 2y. And I want to figure out what is the measure of ABE, and so what is the measure of that angle right there. So if I set this up, you got to identify the relationship first. So notice between these two angles, those form a linear pair. So 2x plus 40 plus 2y plus 40 equals 180. Now, I also have vertical angles here. I've got 2x plus 40 equal to x plus 2y. So now I've got a system of equations. I have to set this up so I can eliminate. So if I rewrite this equation, I'm going to get 2x plus 2y equals 100. And I'm going to get x minus 2y equals negative 40. So when I set that up, that way the x's are stacked, the y's are stacked, and the numbers are stacked, the y's are all ready to be eliminated. So I'll get a different color. Y is going to go away. X equals 60. So if x equals 60, y is going to equal, just got to plug it back into one of your equations. Y is going to equal 50. I chose the bottom one, so I chose 60 minus 2y equals negative 40. And if I solve for that, y is going to give me 50. So the question is, what is the measure of angle ABE? Well, I don't know, but I know whatever DBC has to be, ABE is going to be the same because they're vertical angles. So I just got to evaluate 2y plus 40. So every time I see a y, I'm going to plug in 50. And I'm going to get 140 degrees. So the measure of angle ABE equals 140 degrees. Alrighty, so those, a lot of algebra there. Okay, make sure you get that down. Ask me questions if you got them. Next is example 4. Determine the characteristics of an angle. So this is what's going on. What's our relationships here? Well, I know angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles. So because of that, I know, write down the right number. I've got angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. That's what vertical angles means. Done. Angle 1 and angle 3 are a linear pair, which means that angle 1, or the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180 degrees. And I also know that angle 4 is a complement of angle 1. So what that means is the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 1 is going to equal 90 degrees. So now I just need to select all that apply from the bottom list. So let's figure out what works and what doesn't. So angle 4 is less than 90. Well, because angle 4 plus angle 1 equals 90, angle 4 has to be less than 90. That has to be true. And because it's less than 90, it can't be 90 and it can't be more than 90. Angle 4 forms a linear pair with angle 3. Well, we know that that can't be the case because angle 1 and angle 3 equal 180. Angle 4 plus angle 1 equals 90. So it could be the case, but I don't know it for certain, so I can't include it. And this last one says that angle 4 is a complement of angle 2. Well, if that's the case, then the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90. I know 4 plus 1 is 90, and I know from them being vertical angles that 1 and 2 are the same. So if I do a substitution, measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2 are going to be the exact same thing. So I can just swap out angle 2 for angle 1, and that's going to make E work. So my final answers there are A and E. And that is probably enough for you to start your homework. I will work through the You Try Nows. That way you have those worked out, but I might not necessarily talk through it. So it's going to be a quiet part of the video now as I just do some math. So x equals -5 has will not work because it's going to make this one negative. So that's why it doesn't work. Now to figure out what the measure of the angles are, I'm just going to plug in 7 every time I see an x into my calculator. This is going to be 148 degrees. And then the other one has to be whatever 180 minus 148 is. And that's 32 degrees. Okay? Just double checking work. Good to go. Now on to B. And then the last one. So if it bisects it, that means they are going to be equal. So if I need to solve for y in terms of x, I just need to get the y by itself. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And then I just need to divide everything by -2. So my final answer is going to be y equals -2x plus 3. I solved for y in terms of x. Alrighty, that's all I got. Those are all those problems. So now you can fill that out and start working on the worksheet.